Strange events? Casey's phone rings. Casey picks up. Casey, hello, who's this? Dead silence on the other end. Casey repeats herself saying hello. Casey ends the call. She goes back on her laptop. A few minutes go by now, her phone ringing again. Casey grabs her phone and glances at it. She notices it was the same caller calling. Casey scratches her head, wondering why this number was calling her, as she picks up now saying hello, as she hears nothing on the other end as Casey speaks. Who is this? Casey slowly looks at her time on her phone to notice it was past midnight, and she knew nobody she knew would call her this late. As Casey is looking at her time on her phone, she begins hearing soft whispering as Casey repeats herself. Who is this? As Casey ends the phone upset and confused, Casey begins getting ready for bed. Casey glances at her phone one more time to think about who it could have been, but decides to brush it off as Casey drifts off to sleep. The next morning, Casey wakes up and grabs her phone. She quickly gets ready, but to see she had missed several missed calls from the same number from last night, as she quickly brushes it off and begins to get up, and leaves her room to yell out to her mum, but hears nothing as Casey walks towards her mum's room to spot her mum sitting up folding laundry with a grind on her face, as Casey up at Casey now back to the laundry. She kept see this spurt, this ghost would follow her everywhere she goes. She goes to the store she's. It followed her everywhere, even in her house one day. She got a mysterioso call again. The voice in the phone whispered, "Don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep." She dozed off for a quick second. She went to sleep. She sees the face. The fast was a little girl who passed in the house she was staying in. The girl said, "Who invited you here?" Casey couldn't move her mouth or legs or arms or any part of her body, but in her mind she said, "I have to get up. I have to get up. This is a dream. It's not real." She started to pray, but nothing worked until she saw a light. The little girl said, "Come to the light." "This is the other," said Casey said. "This is my life, not yours." The little girl said, "If you guess my name right, I will disappear." Casey guessed the name Emily. "Emily," she guessed. Correct, the mysterious girl disappeared. Casey the next day gets a priest, and after they bless the house, the priest says, "You do not want to stay here. You should move," Casey says. "But my family and I have been comfortable here for years. I choose to stay." Casey didn't listen. The next day goes on, and the girl was back. Casey seen a shadow. Casey says, "Get of my house, I own it, I pay rent. Get the F out of here." This angry, this time the girl came with a vengeance. Casey tried to fight her sleep, but she couldn't. The force gets stronger and tried to take control of her and forces her to sleep. Casey drinks coffee and none of it worked. Casey finally went to sleep, but this time,